Thomas, you have more to say about Michael Horowitz.
His investigation is a total scam. I'm going to read you the conclusions that not a single newscaster in America has read to you, which will show that the people that he called, these 6 people, which 2 he named, and then now 2 have been called out, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But basically what is really happening here is he's just the lawyer that was being prepared to be the next head of the DOJ and the FBI. So he has to go through being an inspector general so he can get the dirt on everybody before he starts taking these positions, exactly as Mueller and Comey and Rosenstein and others have done. This is the standard procedure. So Horowitz, if he gets through this without anybody being convicted, which is insane, he will certainly be on the path to the top of one of these prestigious agencies, the FBI, which I now call the Fornication Bureau of Incompetency. They can't prosecute anyone. Look how long it took them to prosecute the guy who breached their systems with all the Vault 7 that was given to WikiLeaks. Think of that. It took them that long to even discover it. It was released and took them all that time to figure out who did it. They can't figure out anything. All they're doing is covering their crimes. Now, I'm going to read you dissembling legal language to demonstrate that no one read this. When you get to the very last 2 pages, you will read the conclusion, chapter 16.
Just to clarify, you're reading his IG report that was just released last week.
Horowitz IG report.
And today is, for those who might not know from looking at the YouTube, today is June 21st, 2018. Okay.
He's not an investigator. He's an inquisitor. Matter of fact, he lies from the beginning. He says there was no investigation, and then he refers to it from that time on as being an investigation, the mid-year exam investigation. Referred to what they were doing. We now know from what has come out, especially in the testimony before Congress, that there really was no investigation. It wasn't a matter. It wasn't an investigation, it wasn't a criminal investigation, and it wasn't a counterintelligence operation. So then why were people from counterintelligence of FBI and the National Security Division of the Department of Justice involved in this? This was an operation to cover an intelligence leak, which was Hillary's emails, worst leak in U.S. history, the greatest espionage theft by Huma Abedin, sending them all to Anthony Weiner, and basically her mother, who is the voice of the Muslim Brotherhood. She actually creates the newsletter. Do we get any more criminal? Pay to play was happening through the server. And we have Horowitz saying there was no political bias, there was no problem there, that investigation was okay. There were some things, that happened. There were some leaks maybe from Andrew McCabe. There might have been, notice how he takes Strzok, Page, and Orr out of Mueller's special counsel investigation, and someone does, and they're removed, but they don't remove the other 2, Sally Moyer and Kevin Kleinstein, who just came out yesterday in Meadows' cross-examination. He says, since you're not going to mention them, and since your report lies and says these 2 agents, Agent 1 and Agent 5, who we'll quote here in a minute, who show the worst political bias anyone could ever show. I've never seen anything worse.
That's a euphemism. It shows treason.
It is treason, exactly. So what we have here is a cover-up. This is not that, and remember, the Inspector General office is where truth goes to die, and anyone who's ever engaged in an Inspector General investigation knows it's a Star Chamber investigation. Exonerates the people at the top, picks some low-hanging fruit, and maybe, what they're going to do, disciplinary action with these people. Disciplinary action. Now I want to read Chapter 16, Conclusions and Recommendations. Not a single news agency has made this available, public, or addressed it. Amazing. Listen to these words. First, we found that several FBI employees who played critical roles in the investigation sent political messages, some of which related directly to the mid-year investigation. That created the appearance of bias and thereby raised questions about the objectivity and thoroughness of the mid-year investigation. He just said they sent political messages. He just said there was bias. Later he says there's mental bias. And then listen to this one. Later he says, ... Well, I guess I should give the whole sentence, but no, let's do the ... They are not only indicative of a biased state of mind, but imply a willingness to take official action to impact a presidential candidate's electoral prospects. That's it. First two paragraphs. All those people are convicted, and every single person involved is convicted right there. And then in the above report, 568 pages, is all the evidence. But then he dissembles with legalese and says, appearance. It's the appearance of bias, and then he doesn't recommend them for indictment. And therefore, Huber will do nothing unless the Inspector General recommends for indictment. And he's not recommending for anything.
No, they're just using legal words to get themselves out of these predicaments, just like we saw with Bill Clinton when he was trying to define what the word is meant.
It's just unbelievable. And then in the third paragraph, he contradicts his entire 566 pages above by saying, this is antithetical, and it goes on after the very sentence I just read, new paragraph. This is antithetical to the core values of the FBI and the Department of Justice. While we did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that improper considerations, including political bias, directly affected the specific investigative actions, we reviewed in Chapter 5 the conduct by these employees cast a cloud over the entire FBI investigation and sowed doubt about the FBI's work on and its handling of the mid-year investigation. So, paragraph 1 and 2 says they're guilty. Paragraph 3 says they're not. This is the way that it works. And I can go on here where he says guilty, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, appearance, not appearance, bias, not appearance, but not political action. Yes, there were political actions. We have all the political actions. And if you haven't read this, I also want to read a few other things. He says in the next paragraph, the damage caused by these employees' actions extends far beyond the scope of the mid-year investigation and goes to the heart of the FBI's reputation for neutral fact-finding and political independence. Yeah, the FBI's dead. The Fornication Bureau of Incompetency is dead.
Well, they mentioned that there was no documents, no testimony, but these people are so busy running around the swamp fornicating with each other, they have no time. They didn't even look into Hillary's email situation.
Hillary was not named as someone they were investigating. There were no targets of the non-investigation called a matter. Wait a second. The largest espionage case we've ever seen in American history was never investigated. Hillary was never investigated. That's the reason she didn't go under oath. That's the reason she spent almost the entire time, as the 302 report says, when Strzok and his gang, who were on the Mueller Special Counsel, the same people, sat around and talked with babies about babies, pregnancy, and the weather.
So does this mean that Michael Horowitz is part of the group to overthrow the government?
Absolutely. He's completely part of this conspiracy now.
Okay.
But he's trying to keep himself out of it by using words like appearance. It seemed to have the appearance of. Well, it did affect everything, so there were political actions, and he says it's basically destroyed the FBI. Now, he won't name who these agents are. There are two who work in the FBI. They worked under James Baker, and they are legal counsel, and they have been involved since Crossfire Hurricane, and they were involved in all 12 names, including the Secret Society, the Committee to Impeach, and all the other ones, and they rose right on up, along with Page, Strzok, and Orr, the criminals who were creating the dossier, the criminals who were covering for Hillary, the criminals who were working with foreign agents to affect an election, stop President-elect, and basically absolutely seditiously and through treason, create an attempted overthrow of our elected president. What we have is Horowitz is simply whitewashing everything, but he tried to cover the names of the other agents who are now, in his testimony before Congress, he says he doesn't know if 3 of the agents are on the special counsel at this moment right now. He reported and made sure that 2 of them were kicked off, and Bruce Orr was kicked off from the State Department, but he didn't kick off the other 2, and he doesn't know if they're there, and Meadows names them, and then he doesn't know them, plays like he doesn't know them, and then Meadows calls him out as a liar, saying that they're not part of counterintelligence, and that's the reason their names can't be revealed. Just like when Strzok was part of counterintelligence, I told everyone all along they're going to use national security as their defense to hide this person. Try to hide them till the end, but that person will probably go down. That's Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, of course, has been let out now. He hasn't been fired. He will probably just be moved around like everybody else has been. Nobody's been really fired, except Andrew McCabe.
Well, the one common thing, and you can't ignore it anymore, and I'm getting really sick and tired of Fox News not reporting this. Every single one of these people you've mentioned, although we haven't looked at the 2 new FBI agents, and we hope that the Americans for Innovation can help us on that, every single one of them is a senior executive service operative. So there is your group that is trying to overthrow the government.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I'm going to read for you quotations back and forth on text messages. These are government phones. There's no privacy here. Strzok and Page, they struck everything personal from their text messages. So of the 55,000 that we know of, we are only looking at a few hundred.
Well,
they are completely clean.
Well, there's no reason to redact these because Americans are certainly, that we can open up any website and see fornication. So we know what happens and we know the language that is used, and this needs to be released.
Of the group of 6 that the Inspector General found to be doing strange things, and then, of course, Comey and McCabe, and then subsequently others around them, but of those 6, 4 of them were having illegal sexual relationships while they were married, which means they automatically lose their clearance.
Now, when you say illegal, you're talking about because it goes against their security clearance.
Correct.
Not because they were having adulterous affairs.
Correct. Because when you get a security clearance, if you have an extramarital affair, you can be blackmailed.
Well, the whole swamp is blackmailed with that, plus pedophilia and all the human trafficking and all the nasty stuff they do. Their offshore accounts.
And so were all those agents being blackmailed because they were all having sex with each other? We know that McCabe and others mentioned were doing illegal activities, so they knew they were doing it. They had to know. We know that Andrew McCabe was meeting in clandestine secret meetings with Lisa Page, who was having an affair with Peter Strzok, and all of them are married. I suggest to you there was an affair going on there also. I also suggest to you that Lisa Page has been used and that she is an agent of people who want to bring down the United States of America. I believe she was having sex with more than Page. I believe she was having sex with others. And everyone involved in it she had sex with so that she could get the full story of all sides. Think of it. Could there ever be a better Mata Hari or a better female spy than Lisa Page?
Stormy Daniels?
No, she knew nothing. She's an idiot, and she's a liar, and she was paid by David Brock to make that lie. And now look at her lawyer. Her lawyer is just a cheap whore for the press, and all they're supposed to do is distract, just like the Mueller investigation. Distract.
Well, what the reason I bring that up is because they're not imaginative, creative people, so the only thing that they can come up with is the same kind of stuff that they already run with.
Yes. Agent 1, Agent 5, having an affair, illegal affair, they should be put in jail for that. They should be put in jail for the following. These are their comments back and forth, and these are the ones that were cleaned up. These are the ones that Horowitz was willing to reveal to us, and we haven't seen Comey's emails, text messages, McCabe's, Rosenstein's.
Has anybody asked for them?
How about John Kerry's?
But who's going to ask for them?
They are sitting in Christopher Wray's office, most of these.
Somebody has to ask for them.
Yes. The 117,000 members of the Department of Justice and their 10,000 lawyers are supposed to do that. And they're not doing anything to the 35,000. They're fornicating. The FBI is too busy fornicating. Now, when the Department of Justice sends lawyers over, they fornicate with the agents. This seems to be the pattern.
Right.
Now, let's get into the pattern here. This is non-political and non-political bias. I want you to make sure you understand that Horowitz said this is non-political bias between these 2 agents who he will not reveal the names of, Sally Moyer, Kevin Kleinstein, who worked underneath James Baker and Trish in the FBI it was the lawyers who support these evil people, both in counterintelligence and Comey's supposedly legal actions in the FBI. Remember, all actions in the FBI counterintelligence have to be outside of this country against our enemies. They're happening here. That's illegal. Okay? From the get-go, it's all illegal. And that these people are cooperating. And you want to talk about DOJ, FBI cooperation, it can't get any closer than this. They were coupled together, I guess, in a room having some kind of group sex, because we hear Comey speak of this group of people. And he speaks of them as his intimate circle. He speaks of them as his, like he's a Boy Scout and they're a camp. That's the reason I started calling them the bunk buddies. I had no idea. Bunk buddies also refers to sex. I had no idea it was this bad.
Well, what does it say?
It says, Agent 1, I'm done interviewing the president. Then type the 302, 18-hour date. This stupid person refers to Hillary Clinton, who she interviewed and wrote down on the 302 as the president.
What?
She's calling Hillary Clinton the president in the interview to clear her from her emails. And it was clarified with Horowitz who she was speaking of. President Hillary Clinton. And she says, I'm done with the interview. Why? Because they were talking about pregnancy. One of the people interviewing her was pregnant, and so Hillary just simply talked about nothing except her pregnancy and her daughter's pregnancy. That's all they talked about. And the 302 we now know has been changed. They were illegally changed, all the 302s. Michael Flynn's, the email conversations with the non-identified, non-target President Hillary Clinton, Huma, Heather, and all the rest that were there. Her legal counsel was there, and they turned in their devices. The FBI said they destroyed them for them because there could be national security things on them. Hello, they knew there were, but they didn't destroy them. They're in Christopher Wray's office. He testified to that. By the way, when Christopher Wray sat next to Horowitz, everything Horowitz said, Wray said the opposite, and no one called them out. Wray did nothing but lie. There wasn't a single word out of Wray's mouth, but he was the head of the criminal division of the FBI.
And he's also senior executive service.
And he's the handsomest guy they had to put on camera. Handsome. That's the reason he got the job. No, he is. He's he's a classic Mitt Romney look, you see.
Okay, but in between all the fornicating they're doing, let's keep reading this. What else is going on?
And then she complained she had an 18-hour day. Oh, my God. And then the response from the other FBI agent says, you interviewed the president? Because her lover is confused because she just said she interviewed the president, Obama. He's not too shocked because Obama led this entire thing. It is not out of the purview of her lover to believe that she just interviewed Obama to make sure Obama kept them on the direction they were going.
Well,
Obama conducted the entire thing.
That he wanted to know everything about this, that was going on.
And the other agent says, oh, you know, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Oh, Agent 1. Oh, the future president. This is not politically biased. This is not politically biased. Do not believe this is politically biased. Oh, you mean the future president? Agent 1, Trump can't win. I'm sorry. I have to add the drama. Demographics don't line up. Agent 1, America has changed. We asked Agent if he thought of Clinton as the next president while conducting the mid-year investigation, and Agent 1 said, I think my impression going into the election in that personal realm is that all of the polls were favoring Hillary Clinton, instead of the fact that he just got through screaming at you hear it in a minute. That's his lie, and that's entered in as a lie. That is perjury. He should have been, just like Michael Flynn, charged with perjury because they have his text here saying the opposite right above it, okay? I'm not going to go into all of that.
They need to find a way to fire every single senior executive service person in Washington. This is not acceptable.
Oh, no, and it's right here, and no one is reading this.
And nobody is reporting this. We have identified who this rogue faction is in our government, and they sit around acting like it doesn't exist.
Agent 5 then says, Jesus Christ, Trump. Glad FBI is fixing the horrible mistake on Clinton's email, for fuck's sake. Did you just hear him say he is fixing the horrible mistake on Clinton's emails, and they're the ones fixing it? But these guys aren't going to jail.
And there's no political
bias. No political bias. That's right. For fuck's sake. Agent 5, The fuck's sake part was me. The rest was Trump. Does anybody get this? Couldn't be any more political bias? Agent 1, not sure if Trump or the fifth floor is worse. The fifth floor is their bosses who make them comply, and actually, I'm so sick of both, the other one says. Then she says, +0, Trump, 207. Agent 5, and so they're actually sending some kind of weird messages, something like, I think they're saying something to the effect of, we need to get that floor after Trump, not us, basically is what they're saying. In other words, the people who try to make them honest, they hate. Okay, going on. Here's some more. Agent 1 says, I find anyone who enjoys this job an absolute fucking idiot. If you don't think so, ask them one more question. Who are you voting for? I guarantee you it will be Donald Drumpf. Agent 5, I forgot about Drumpf. In other words, he loves the term, the moniker Drumpf, as if that's clever. Agent 5, that's so sad and pathetic if they want to vote for him. Agent 5, someone who can't answer a question. Someone who can't be professional for even a second. And then Agent 5 says, I'm trying to think of basically something I'd rather do instead of spending time with those people. Agent 1 says, stick your tongue in a fan. Agent 5 says, I would rather have brunch with Trump. Agent 1, ha. Agent 1, French toast with Drumpf. Agent 5, I would rather have brunch with Trump and a bunch of his supporters like the ones from Ohio that are retarded. Agent 5.
This gets to where I was saying that, people saying, oh, well, the rank and file, they're good at the FBI, it's only the top. This goes to demonstrate that the rank and file is as disgusting as the people that we see at the top.
It's so disgusting. I'm going to jump over a whole section here. Then Section 5 says, Agent 5 says, she better win, referring to Hillary. Otherwise, I'm going to be walking around with both of my guns.
What does that mean?
That is a friggin' threat to the president.
Yes.
That is a death threat from an FBI
agent.
And
what American doesn't recall the JFK assassination and know that it was an inside job by our government to kill a president? This is not just a threat. It is a national security threat. That person needs to be put in jail.
I want to go back and read this again. On Election Day, November the 8th, 2016, Agent 1 and Agent 5 exchanged the following instant messages at exactly 14:21:10. Agent 1, you think Hillary Rodham Clinton, HRC, is going to win, right? You think we should get nails in some boards in case she doesn't? Nails in a board. They were going to nail him to a cross. They just said they're going to crucify him. And then after that, Agent 5 says she better win, otherwise I'm going to be walking around with both my guns. In other words, another death threat. Agent 5, and likely quitting on the spot.
Well, isn't the Secret Service supposed to step in at this point and do something to these people?
These people have to go to jail
but
immediately. This is a conspiracy to kill the President Trump.
Yes, a very real conspiracy.
After he won.
Why isn't Michael Horowitz, isn't he supposed to do something when he sees crimes like this being committed?
Yes, he's supposed to recommend, the Inspector General is supposed to recommend indictments for crimes that he finds immediately.
Well, we found these immediately.
And then it goes to the DOJ to make the determination. But Huber has already been sent over to be that lawyer to act immediately on any recommendations for investigations and or indictments. And so there should be indictments.
All they do is kick the can down the road, hoping the American people forget about this and it all goes away, like they've always done.
Now, this is really amazing. I would love to go through all these tweets, but we don't have them. They're hidden by Horowitz, and they were hidden and redacted fantastically by the Department of Justice and the FBI. So let's go on here.
So they have to be even worse than this?
They're much worse than this.
What if they were actually making a plan?
Oh, they absolutely were. Here is the plan. And you're not going to believe this. She better win, otherwise I'm going to be walking around with both of my guns. Agent 5 then continues, and likely quitting on the spot. Agent 1 says, you should know that I am with her. That's her campaign slogan. I am with Hillary. I'm with her all the way. All the way. What she's saying is, I'll do anything for her.
So you have FBI agents here who are willing to take guns and shoot the president.
And then says, and I want to repeat this, Agent 1, you should know that I am with her Ooh, show me the money. She's being paid.
Who's paying her?
Hillary Clinton is paying her. We know that because Jonathan Weiner witnessed all of this in the State Department. There's money being paid to these people. That's what this insinuates. And it insinuates they're going to nail Trump to the cross and kill him and shoot him because he's going to carry her second gun. You know what a second gun means?
She wants to make sure the job is done.
No. Yes, but very specifically, any law enforcement agent will tell you that when she was say, I'm going to carry around both of my guns, they carry a gun that they can shoot people with and leave at the scene that is already a dirty gun. She's saying she's going to assassinate the president with a dirty gun. Okay? How much clearer can this be? These people are fornicating instead of investigating. They're not investigating. They didn't even name Hillary Clinton. Horowitz came along, cleaned it all up, whitewashed it.
He thinks he did.
We now know that James Wolfe was the active leaking agent for the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, Hannah, and now this shows institutionalized leaking, but it shows it from the beginning, from January of 2016, the Senate Intelligence Committee was asking Christopher Steele to come talk with them to arrange the dossier. We now know this. We also know that Daniel Jones, oh, by the way, Daniel Jones, who was also working for the Senate Intelligence Committee with the criminal James Wolfe, who was leaking all the time, is also a leaker. But then he got out after Dianne Feinstein basically and ethically released the behind closed doors testimony, which was all lies, of Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS so that his alibi could get out there to try to, again, diffuse the fact that the Russian dossier were all insider attempts to overthrow the election and Trump. Okay? Then what do we find out? Oh, now we know Hillary's direct connection. Amanda Shaneria. She was directly leaking and going back and forth between the Senate Intelligence Committee, Dianne Feinstein, Daniel Jones, Jeff Wolfe, Warner, Hannah, and the others, and that they were leaking and bringing this information from the Hillary Clinton Podesta camp, the Democratic National Committee, working with them to construct this dossier from the beginning. And who was it that caused the dossier from the beginning with the lie that she got a call from Estonia? That would be Victoria Nuland, Hillary Clinton's best friend. We know this because Jonathan Weiner, when he quit, came out and said this 3 times in the press. And he spilled the beans on everybody, saying John Kerry knew all about it, that Loretta Lynch knew all about it, that Hillary Clinton was using APCO worldwide to do all of this behind-the-scene manipulation, and that they had made this as a donation, an illegal donation to her campaign, and then there was a payoff directly to her and to APCO, and Jonathan Weiner said he was part of it, illegal dealings. We know this. Why didn't Horowitz look into this? Because the pay-to-play was the email scandal. If you paid, you got the password and you got everything Hillary was doing, including everything on her BlackBerry, that she was talking to an illegal, non-secure line with Obama, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, Comey, and obviously others. So what are we dealing with here? We're dealing here with the worst case of crime coming into our federal agencies that we've ever seen. Horowitz's report is a whitewash. We told you that from the beginning. We told you what would happen. But on the side, congressional hearings are bringing up this piece and that piece that fill in the missing pieces. So now we are beginning to see the puzzle. We can actually name who the leakers were. That was James Baker out of the FBI counterintelligence. We can name
got out early.
Who got out early. He jumped ship. All the lawyers jumped ship. Carlin jumped ship. He was the one that was the leaker from Department of Justice. We know that Comey was the major leaker. We know that Andrew McCabe institutionalized leaking, and that there was standard procedure because of the text that Lisa Page, Peter Strzok text specifically say that they get permission from Andrew McCabe to leak, and then they talk about how quick the response was in the press and which press did it, and so on and so forth. So we know the leaks are massive. We now know the rat lines of the weaponized intelligence agencies and the intelligence committees in the Senate, completely compromised, and the Democrats in the House, the Intelligence Committee, because Imran Awan was Andre Carson's IT assistant, and he had SCIF access, though he never had a security clearance. Right there is the largest espionage case, the Imran Awan Inspector General investigation that said he committed 13 major espionage crimes, and nothing happened. No one in the DOJ, 117,000 people, 10,000 lawyers, I need a new name for them, no one in the fake Department of Justice was able to bring any charges against Imran, except when he ripped off the Congressional Credit Union. Oh, no, you're not going to take money from congressmen. Oh, no, Imran, you can do everything. You can extort, you can kidnap, you can take Xavier Becerra, who also jumped ship because he brought Imran in, and he was using Xavier Becerra's server as a proxy server to accumulate into one place all that was being stolen from 40 congresspeople who Pelosi told to work with them, and Andre Carson, Gregory Meeks, and Al Green all supported this Pakistani national and this espionage, and they still to this very day do. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Rahm Emanuel, goes right up to Rahm Emanuel. When you say Rahm Emanuel, you say Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro. That's how he got elected, without Rahm Emanuel's help. And without Rahm Emanuel running the White House the entire time that he was there with the help of Valerie Jarrett, because they are the Chicago mob, Obama would have not bombed all those countries. He wouldn't have come into George Soros's complete sway and basically became what seems to be an MK Ultra mind sweep that left him blank to just simply be the voice of George Soros, as far as I can tell. I don't think there's any other real political stream of thought that you can put Barack Obama except for the Open Society, which is George Soros's attempt to basically destroy the world, in America specifically. $6 billion he gave illegally through super PACs to the Democratic National Committee. It was all hidden, and that was on the server as well as much else. So Horowitz, he is a horror of a witch hunter. And that witch hunter, that inquisitor, is going to have an inquisitor go after him. New special counsels need to be set up with people who have nothing to do with the Department of Justice, the Senior Executive Service, or any of their line of command. And certainly Mueller, an objective person to come look at politicization of DOJ and FBI. Hello, he basically ran both of those at one time. He can't possibly be objective. He came in to cover up the crimes of himself and his 13 angry Democrats, and now we know Sally Moyer and Kevin Kleinstein. Betsy, I will bet you a nickel that both of them donated to Hillary Clinton, because look at their political biased remarks that we just read, which Horowitz said were completely political biased, that led them to actions that were politically biased and ruined the department, the FBI, the Fornication Bureau of Incompetency. It ruined their reputation. I didn't know they had a good reputation, because every single mass murderer that is a fascist that we find was already an agent of the FBI. And then if we look at the FBI's agents like Felix Sater, these people that they sent in, Sergei Millian, Carter Page, Stephen Halpern, Joseph Mifsud, all of those are FBI agents, folks. The FBI basically needs to be cleaned out. 35,000 people should all be pink slipped.
It needs to be wiped off the face of the earth, period, and we'll start again.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't fix that. If they think for 1 minute some training is going to take care of this, well, how are they going to get training in just with the fornication issue between these two departments?
It is so pathetic what's going on here, Betsy, that there's no way that the FBI can be redeemed. And when they say there's many, many, many people who are good, okay, let them get out. Let's see if they can get a clearance. Let's eradicate all SES members, and let's stop the FBI counterintelligence department. That is basically legal unlawfulness. And we used to only use it on foreigners. Comey weaponized it according to the FISA IG report, and he didn't make one single FISA request, which is amazing. Therefore, the only FISA request Comey ever made in compliance was over and over again to get the Carter Page FISA. And when that comes out, the only time they used the FISA, otherwise they abused FISA, the FBI counterintelligence department must be closed down. We already have a counterintelligence unit. We already have many counterintelligence. That's all illegal activity, even against any nation that isn't our enemy. So we need to stop that. Now, if it's economic terrorism through the Treasury Department, goes on constantly. We should do it. If it's cyber warfare, goes on constantly. We should do it. But should we be going after people that politicians and SES members name as their enemies? Heck no. We should be going after the people they flow the money to, like Serco and the Crown Agents and USAID, which Trump is closing down, and the World Trade Organization, which he's going to close down, and the World Bank. That's who the criminals are, not President Trump and his team that were running for election, and now President Trump. President Trump. This is an attempted treasonous, seditious overthrow of a sitting president. And all those people need to be cleaned out. And this is completely legal now because we have two agents covered by an IG investigation that will not get the DOJ to say they will investigate these people who threatened Trump's life. We just read you the threats. That's a threat on a sitting president from agents who are part of a special investigation, still covered up to this very day. They're still part of that special counsel investigation, which is an attempt to impeach the president, to overthrow him, and to kill him. We've said all along, we can't move to military tribunals until there's a death threat to the president that is substantial. We now have it. I am sick of this. Who is going to report this? I hope you send, and I never say this,
Well, I know.
I hope you send this everywhere, because this is a call to stop an assassination of a president by two FBI agents who are still on the special counsel and have access to the power of the FBI, the DOJ, the CIA, the NSA, and all of them. This is an active attempt of an assassination and a killing of our sitting president. When will people wake up?